Hi, my name is Monica Kretschmer, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network, Women of Inspiration Awards, and this is our Woman Driving Change panel. You are all in for a great treat today because we have three leaders from diverse industries who are driving change. First off, I'd like to introduce you to Nadiya Manji, who is the CEO and founder of Profound Wellness, Queen with the Queen Company, and Rhonda Goldberger, founder Au Natural Snacks, and also Women-Led Company. So ladies, welcome to the Women Driving Change panel. I would just really love, I know each and every one of you and your stories. I would just love you to do a quick little round table, introduce yourself to our guests. Nadiya, I guess we'll start with you.
Thank you, Monica. As you know, my name is Nadiya, and I am a CEO and founder of Profound Wellness, author, TEDx speaker, clinical hypnotherapist, trainer, coach, and the list goes on. So I help entrepreneur business owners and leaders to create change through empowering their mental health and performance, as we have lots of barriers about understanding the mental health is not taboo. It's actually the place where we can actually create change and open up our emotional side and allow ourselves to create change through performance. So that's what I would like to say.
Beautiful. And Queen, how about yourself?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Queen. I am CEO of the Queen Company, co-founder of the Heels Academy, executive director at the Guelph Black Heritage, and just like other fellow panelists, wear many hats in this area, but just really happy to be here. I work heavily in the field of activism, especially for Black and Indigenous lives, working on truth, reconciliation, anti-oppression, and of course, just educating our youth and mentoring in the best ways that we can to support them for a better future.
Beautiful. Welcome, Queen. And Rhonda.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rhonda with Au Natural Flavored Snacks. I'm the founder, and we provide healthy, better for you snacks. We have flavored banana chips and flavored sweet potato fries that are found across Canada and various retailers. I'm a woman-owned, women-led business, and we have the first certification on our bags that came out in 2021, and we're super excited about our snacks at all the grocery stores. So thank you so much, Monica, for having me.
Well, we're so super excited to have you. And before we begin, I just want to first off say congratulations to each and every one of you. Super excited to be, seeing the impact that your stories are going to make. And so this is the 100 Women of Inspiration Women Driving Change book, hot off its shelf. We are #1 bestseller. I don't know if we've had the opportunity to share. And I thought in one category, but we actually had 3 categories. So that is super exciting. And so for the viewers or listeners here today, I'm going to jump right into the panel. Every woman has a story, but why is it so important for women to know their worth, know how to negotiate, and advocate for themselves? Nadiya.
It's very important to know your worth because we are designed to seek validation and worth from the outside world. And then if we do not pay attention to what we really and who we are, we waste time thinking for permission for the world to let us succeed. So once you know that who you are and what your real worth is, as Rhonda said, that in the panel or in the competition, she was the only woman or 2 women they saw. It's because the women have to get up. And my calling is that every woman should understand that how she can value and see her own self-worth. So she doesn't need permission from anybody to tell the world that you're worthy. That's why it's really important to know your own values, your dreams, your goals. That's exactly so important equally to creating family and supporting the family and the men and the children and all the people around you. That's my take on that.
Beautiful. Queen?
Oh, I love that. Isn't that just like such a beautiful way to put it? I echo that for sure. And I think, a lot of the time, so often media, the way that we see ourselves in movies portray a certain image of certain people, especially if you're in any communities that have any sort of representation or a little tint to your color. There's always this like push to push us down. And I think what we need to do is start raising the bar, because behind what's that quote? Like behind every good woman or good man is a woman or whatever. And it's like behind every
No,
woman is more women.
woman.
And
Yeah.
that's what we need to realize is like that's the strength and the power and like that encouragement that really can drive that change for other women to feel and be heard and be seen.
Beautiful. Rhonda.
I echo both the ladies on the panel, but what I wanted to add to that, in certain industries, such as my industry that I'm in the food industry, women are not as much of leaders. I mean, there are a lot of women leaders in there, but for owners in business in the food industry, and it's kind of shocking to find out how many men are versus women. And then if you go around, like I've traveled around the world in different cultures, they don't even respect women. That's part of their culture. So if you're trying to negotiate and you're a woman, the respect that you get is sometimes no respect at all. I've seen it. So you have to know your purpose, know your passion, and you don't care what anybody thinks about you, and you just go after your dreams. So I think you need to know your worth, because if you don't know your worth, then how can you ask somebody else to respect your worth? So I've learned that the hard way in my industry.
So how do you ask, Nadiya?
I think it's something it's different for everybody, but showing up, it's a big thing for me. Even if it's something small, show up what you believe in. Because if you become a follower, that's how where I come from, the conditioning of the society where I grew up. And probably Queen will agree, and even Rhonda will agree, that we just get trapped into that following paradigm of people who have decided for us. So women have to really own it, that this is what I want to be, this is how I want to show up. And I'm a mother, it's okay, or I'm a wife, or all the roles, but also showing up in your best of your ability as who you are. So when you present that to the world, they have no choice but to accept you.
Mm.
And that's your true worth, because you valuing, even if you are a small writer, even if you're a singer, but this is what represents you, because you valuing your skill, your gift, and the world will be following that. So they follow what you give them. So show up.
And Queen, how do you get over that fear of asking for what you want? And like Rhonda said, people want to shut the doors on you. How have you overcome that?
I think there's like two things that really stick with me. One of my mentors and cheerleaders always uses the quote from Harriet Tubman, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer." And I'm always reminded to dream really big. And then on top of that, like I always just say to people, just ask, because the worst thing that could happen is someone's going to say no, and you're just back at square one where you were anyways. So what's the harm in asking and going for it? And I think a lot of people are unaware of the fact that like, there's not, as you said, that many of us out there. So the opportunity can come if you just push for it. And I think that a lot of that comes from also surrounding yourself with women who are like-minded, like these wonderful women on these panelists, and yourself, Monica, who help drive that when you're like feeling low and you're like, I can't do it. Then you like sit on one of these panels and you're like, oh yeah, we can.
We can.
So I think that a lot of that is just like who you surround yourself with to keep that clear mindset.
Perfect. And Rhonda, so how do you get over that, the no's, and keep asking for what you truly want and desire?
I guess I'm used to the no's. I got you when I took my sales course back in the day. You just got to get used to the no, because every no that you get, you're going to get a yes somewhere. So if you know the next no might be the yes, that just drives you. So you know what, I have to believe. I believe. I surround myself with the right people. And, it's those wrong people that you have to push away, because they don't want you to succeed. The people that want you to succeed will be your yes people. So you got to find your yes people and just keep on moving forward.
So I guess my next thing is moving forward. You've got some no's happening. We all know that fear is growth, but how do you get over the fear of trying something new? Forget about the no's. Just about having those great, big, hairy, audacious dreams. But how do you get over that fear of stepping outside of that comfort zone? Nadia.
I think it's about doing, right? Taking that step and just diving into it. Because nobody's going to tell you go do it. You're the only your cheerleader. You're the only one who's going to do it for yourself. So overcoming is just tapping up and going in there and then figuring it out. That how we went to school, the school first day. Of course, you're scared. You don't know what you're going to do. Or the first day of job. You just go there and you be there. So being in the being and doing, that's when you overcome those uncomfortable feelings. And when those beliefs come, as Queen said and Ronza said, that you will find those yes people, and then they will help you go to the next level to break through. But the first step is always you who's going to step in and then say, I'm going to try. Let's take that step first, and then rest all falls into place. Of course, beliefs will come in your way, but you have to be courageous. Courage is my value, and I always show that you have to have that courage. And if you have that, then you're unstoppable. So first step, just get there without thinking, without evaluating too
Beautiful.
much.
Thank you so much, Nadia and Queen.
Yeah, I think like I always remind myself before I go on stage for a presentation, I always remind my dancers through dance class, just take a breath, because there's so much inside of a breath that can come out of that. That's whether it's ideas, whether it's just clarity, or whether it's just that moment to be like, okay, I can do this. Just as Nadia said, you kind of got to just take that leap of faith. And so often we're willing to take leaps of faith on everybody else, whether it's a new movie that came out into theater, whether it's that new flavored chip that just came out. We're like, oh yeah, I'll try that and see if I like it or not. But we're not willing to just do that for our own selves. So I think it's really important that you get past some of that. And of course, like it's easier said than done. And again, it's having those people, maybe calling Nadia for a mentor session and getting some self-guidance and tips on how to get past that hump, because those humps can be hard. But just and grab yourself a no natural snack, because I'm gonna look them up later. That's gonna be my story of the night. And I think, just trusting in failing. Like failure can be a good thing too, because you realize the things that really aren't good for you and are taking up capacity in your space, and the things that are really great for you are the people who are really great for you.
Perfect. And I love the support here. Like, how beautiful is that? We do it so naturally as women to want to see other people succeed, right? And learn about them and genuinely take an interest. So thank you for that. Rhonda, how about yourself? How do you get over that fear of trying something new?
Well, I have to agree with Queen quite a bit. I think you have to fail. I actually talk more about my failures sometimes than my success, because it reminds me of where I've come from. And I've failed on so many different projects, but you know what? I think you need to fail to actually feel what it's like to win. And I really do believe, I know what it's like to lose a very big client, but I've also know what it's like to win a very big client. So I'm really not afraid, because if I lose something, maybe I'll find something bigger. So you always have to look like when one door closes, maybe 10 will open. And that's the type of person I am. I look at a glass that's is it half full or half empty? It's all about your attitude. If you have a good attitude, the world is your oyster. There's so many opportunities for everybody around the world. You just got to know where to find them and be with the right people again.
So according to surveys, 67% of women learn from other women. And that's really why we're doing all of these panels and these conversations, is to spark and ignite and to drive change. But Nadia, what is the most valuable lesson that you've learned in your career from another woman?
Not to connect to, do not stick to perfectionism. That was my biggest lesson that I learned, that every time when you want to do something, I had other women, especially two women who played a really big role, were entrepreneurs like yourself and all of us. And they say that, don't worry, just go do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. And learn to say no. Those were really big lessons for me, that don't get attached to perfectionism and learn to say no. As Rhonda said, failure is part of success. So no will become yes one day. So those were my great lessons that I learned through my journey, and it has been super valuable.
Perfect. And I love that. It's just honestly, let go of the perfection. A-type personalities, that's the hardest thing for us to do, for sure. But it's true. Queen.
Learning to say no, isn't that a hard one as an entrepreneur? Isn't that hard? Oh, learn how to say no. I'm still working on that. But I think, there's a couple of things like let go and let God. I mean, whatever you believe in, have what have you. But I think like everything does work out. And I think another piece I was always reminded of, especially from my mom, is to stay humble. Like you said, Rhonda, it is good to remember the lows too, and not necessarily in a negative way, but to stay humble and true to yourself through all of that, because money can talk, things can talk. And there have been times I've had to turn down huge clients because our values don't line up. And it's heartbreaking because that money would be great. I would love to pay off this and that, but do our values, do our missions, do our souls align? And I think a lot of that has reminded me in my humbleness to like stay true to yourself, because in the end, it will bite you in the butt if you go in the wrong direction. And that's because you're not trusting your own intentions and trusting in your gut. And I think that, could be said for a lot of us. If we had just listened to ourselves a little bit more, it might have gotten a little smoother. Maybe not, but I think that's where I am.
Beautiful. And Rhonda.
Well, again, I have to agree with the ladies, Nadiya and Queen. You guys are so smart. You're taking my thunder away.
Are the thunder.
You know what? I grew up, my aunt always told me, she's like, Rhonda, you just got to fake it till you make it. And I thought, are you serious? And when I first started, well, I had other backgrounds besides I started my business. Like I represent many companies before I started my own naturals, but I learned a lot. And, fake it till you make it is not a bad thing. But you know what? I think once you get to a part where maybe you find the right people, you got to ask. I had the hardest time asking for help, and also being humble, because when you're younger, I mean, I'm at a certain age now, but you have to get people, like people ask you, what have you done with your life? What have you done? You have to like prove yourself first. And then you have to, how do you get to where you are if you don't do things? So there's, it's a balancing act. Fake it till you make it. And then once you do, you have to become humble. So I guess, it's like, what part am I at now? But it's like how to ask for help and be humble is, I think, your two key success stories, I think, to make it. Yeah.
And so another great big, I mean, there's so many things to consider all the time, ladies. And I know that we're coming out of COVID where, the days were long, and as entrepreneurs, you've got family responsibilities, which had, tripled. You've got, pivoting everywhere. So, now a business plan might have had to be like completely revamped, but now more than ever, that work-life balance, is pretty important, and that wellness. So I'm going to read a quote for you, and then I'd love to have you respond. Don't confuse having a career with having a life, by Hillary Clinton. Does that resonate with you at all, Nadiya? Do you believe that you can have it all?
I think it's all about, even my book is called Searching for Balance. So it's a very personal, related to my hard question, that I was in that ruckus of life and career and achievement and everything. And when my accident happened and I almost died, and I realized that how important the real balance is, not about creating everything, because balance can be straight line. It's about like you go in the straight line and everything's balanced and there is no power in you. So you want to be balanced, means being in that moment. That's my take on that with my journey, that if you are in that moment and you're really being present, you really experience that balance because you are enjoying what you're doing. Balance comes from within. So having it all, everybody has a different perception, but after my life changing event, and when I wrote a book, Balance changed the meaning for me, that it's about being present, that when I'm in that moment, I'm experiencing balance, because life is like a zigzag. Even heartbeat is that. If you create that balance in a straight line, you die. So it's all personal. But in my life, balance comes from being present, fully present. Like right now, I'm here, I'm with you, three ladies who are amazing, and I'm enjoying this moment of learning. And that is balance. This is experiencing balance. So that's my take. It could be multiple facets, but that's my take on balance and being in present.
Beautiful. And Queen, do you believe that you can have it all?
I might just have to use that anytime someone says, Queen, you have no balance in your life. And I'm like, nope, it's all zigzag, girl. I'm fine. Because that really resonates with me. So thank you for that. I think, yes, but you do have to be really mindful, I think, sometimes, and then put some intention. Like I've really found I have to schedule in my breaks, make sure I put lunch in. As entrepreneurs, we kind of forget about that sometimes. But every job, you have your 15 minutes, you have your half an hour, you got your 15 again. And I had to be mindful to put those energies in as well. But also, I think I struggle on balance because what I do, I'm so passionate about. It fills me as much as I give out. And so while like I might be working 18-hour days, everything I'm doing is so full. But I do see a balance for some more sleep and some more eating. And we definitely need to do those things to keep ourselves fueled. So it is possible. For me, it is very intentional on how I find that balance.
Mm. So what I really like about that, I think that's relatable to many women, is when you're on purpose and when you really enjoy doing what you're doing, that 18 hours feels like 5. And it feels like you don't really need the break because you're so excited about what you're doing. So yeah, it's whatever that is for you personally. So it's no judgment, right?
Yeah, that's it. No judgment zone.
Rhonda, do you believe you can have it all?
I do believe I can have it all. Yes. And the balance, though, is something I'm working on and struggling with. And I think, like, I think I've learned, I've learned from other people that the cell phone and the notifications, I have to turn them off. And those are distractions. So I think if you turn off your distractions, you could definitely have it all. And you have to know what your distraction is in order to have it all. So that's what I've learned recently. And I didn't really understand that until somebody says, do you know what the ding is? I'm like, what are you talking about? Your cell phone, you're this, you're that. And I think those dings distract us from really having it all. So I think we can have it all as long as we know what we want in life.
Mm.
Yeah.
And how about support networks? That's always a really big one as well. We don't do it by ourselves. So I want to talk about our male allies and the role that they play in our networks, our workplaces, and communities. Why is it so important for men to be a part of the conversation, Nadiya?
It's very important because if we are in any forum, whether they are your father, brother, sons, or husband, the most important part, your partner, you have to have that support from them. Because if they do not agree or align, it's not about agreement, it's more about alignment. They don't have to agree with everything, but they have to be aligned with what you really want to do. So if they actually allow you to play that freedom and be you, and when you're falling, they give you that hand, knowing that it's not only your passion, it's for them as well, because it inspires them. That's what I hear from my husband. Whenever I've received it, he says, you inspire me to do it. Why would I not give it back? Because it comes back to me more. So I think that's my take on that, that it's more about, it's not competition, it's not proving, it's more about alignment, that what you're bringing in, how you grow together, how you support each other and bring the best out of each other, and you can have bad days too. So I think it's really important for a man to be aligned with you more than agreeing with you. So if that's there, you will see that support, and it's important.
Cool. Queen?
I love that. And I think, when we look at energies and like our world as a whole, like there are some days where I'm like, oh, shoot, I need some male energy around me because something's going on, right? And I think their energy has a piece, they have a lot of role in the ego, whereas we're very emotional. And there's some benefit to that, right? And there's benefits to working together. The other thing is as you said, and as Rhonda pointed out, there are so many men in spaces. Y'all need to take the time to push aside and let some of your females come in and like welcome them pleasantly, and I think that takes the men recognizing the ways in which that they can support. And that is sometimes standing aside or behind or in front in whatever ways that looks like. And, some of my guy friends are just like, I just don't know what I would do without that protector energy that I get from some of them. Some of that energy that reminds me who I am as an empress in this world, like the way that we are supposed to, like it's Mother Earth, it's Mother Nature, women bear life, like just reminding ourselves of that like creation and energy. And I think that really feeds my soul. And I think, we need them as much as they may not, some of them don't realize they need us.
Perfect. And Rhonda.
I think as Queen and both Nadiya are saying that men have a lot of benefits to helping us in our roles and to support us. Some men are actually better negotiators than a woman, and some women are better negotiators than a man. I think we can feed off one another. I think we need each other, and I think we're always going to need each other. And the energy of a woman in a room versus a man in the room, I think sometimes you need both, because too many women in a room. My brother owned a dental office and there was too many women, and he's like, there's so much estrogen in here, I can't, so I think sometimes you need both to balance what you're doing and what industries you're in. So I think you definitely need some male support along the way, for sure. Yeah.
And so wise words, ladies. Of course, another hot item is empowering our youth. And so where I want to turn the conversation to you is, what words of advice would you like to share with empowering our future leaders from all the knowledge that you've learned and gleaned over the years? Nadiya.
Okay, I was waiting who was going first. As a leader, the advice is about, again, it's my perspective, is that when you lead, it's not about proving yourself or you know it all. It's more about teamwork and embracing, whether besides the sex or the gender bias or whatever. You have to open up your perception. You have to embrace not only the successes, but vulnerabilities, and be open to learning, whether it's the topic of money, or business, or EQ, which is emotional intelligence, or embracing other people's emotion and compassion. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans. So my take is that become a compassionate leader, because compassion leads to connection leads to communication, and communication leads to success. So I think it's very interconnected. That's my advice, that open up. It's not about that you know it all. Just embrace everything that's coming your way with yourself and others.
Beautiful. And Queen, what advice would you give to empower our future leaders to help them on their journey?
I mean, I feel like we could all relate to this. Like if we only knew what we knew now back then, it would be just so different. But I think to our youth, like right now, what I see in our youth is this courageous, robust amount of bravery that's happening in this new generation that like underneath me. And I'm just overwhelmed at how much they know about the world surrounding them and how willing they are to stand up for change and how willing they are to look at a world more intersectionally in a way that our ancestors have not done before. And seeing that really keeps me going. And I hope that they just keep that energy, because we actually need that energy so badly. We need people to, be out there for climate change, protesting for BLM, whatever it is that, ignites you. That energy needs to keep going, because that's what keeps us adults going when we're like feeling tired, is seeing all these youth super energized. And then my other piece of advice is like, if you feel like the weird, awkward kid or like the artsy kid, or you feel like you've been put in this bubble, you're not a bubble. You'll never be a bubble. And your weird quirks are actually what make you really successful. So embrace them, and that's what makes you you.
Beautiful. I love that. I remember when I was young, I felt like the odd one out. But as I grew older, I'm like, all of my friends were always from a different group. I never felt like I truly belonged in one area. It was never part of a clique. But the more I grew as my adult years, the more I felt like I belonged in all of those areas. So it's really, really important. I love that you shared that. Rhonda, how about yourself? What can you do to empower our youth to help them on their journey?
I would recommend getting rid of the imposter syndrome. So that's the syndrome where you say, I can't, I won't, I'm not sure, I'm not good enough, I don't know. All those negative questions or negative remarks to your own self. I think you gotta, like, we're in a world that's an unbelievable world. We have so many opportunities. We can start a business at any time with not a lot of money even. I mean, we have the internet. That's when I was a little girl, we never even had computers. So I think the younger generation, they have so many opportunities I never even had, and they can start a business tomorrow. So I say, if you have anything that you are interested in and you want to start a business, I think you should just start it. And you will find a way. If you believe in it, you'll make it happen. Just surround yourself with the right people, and anything is possible. And that's what I would just tell anybody out there. Just believe and start it, and don't wait for the next day. Just start it today.
So you raised a really important issue. Another hot topic is imposter syndrome. And, the stats say that, I think it's a stat that says 75% of women, but I'd be guessing way more than 75% of women have experienced it in one point of their life or another. And, we all know that feeling, self-doubt, am I worthy, self-sabotaging. But Nadiya, number one, have you experienced that yourself? And if you have, how have you overcome that?
Of course, if I say I didn't, I would be lying here. Of course, I have. I had my limiting beliefs of not being worthy of being where I've reached, being cultural, sometimes cultural values top. You as a woman can't do that. And I had this stuck belief that I don't deserve it. That was my biggest limiting belief. And the minute when you ask the first question and the last question is so connected, when you ask me, how can you feel worthy? It's that you have to believe you deserve it. That's when people, so my real syndrome was, I don't deserve it, I can't have it. Oh my God, I had so many. And one by one, as I really allowed myself to show up and tap into it, it just started wearing off, and took extra help as coaches or mentors, or taking my mental health responsibility, and then really driving myself towards breaking through those barriers. That is where I saw, and it was no longer about the success anymore. It was more about what I really wanted to do. I went, I did it. I didn't worry about the outcome. So I think we all have to learn from that you just have to believe, and they will come. Of course they will come. But how you deal with it, that's your choice.
Beautiful. Queen?
Yeah, that imposter syndrome is real. I'd be lying if I'd even 2 days ago, I wasn't like, I can't do this. Why am I in this job? Why do I do this to myself? Why am I in the work of activism that's never going to change in my lifetime? It happens. Entrepreneurship, like you said, is not that straight line. There's a whole roller coaster in life. People say, well, it's like you're down, but then you're up again, and then things are great. But life is up, down all the time. And I think that comes into entrepreneurship. And I think it should, because it allows space for growth in your businesses. It allows space for growth in you. I know even me, I'm looking at ways I can refocus my company in 2022 to fit, the way that we just need to go based on society as well. And then just that imposter syndrome is real. I think verbiage, changing your language too, really being mindful of the ways that you're talking about the things that you can do. I will do that later, as opposed to I can't do it now. All these ways that we can empower ourselves through the words that we use. But I don't think for everyone it necessarily changes. For me, a lot of the time, a big portion of it was I was never seeing myself represented. So I believed I really could only be a basketball player or a musician. Those were my two options. And so I realized, if you don't see it, make it. So I started making that representation happen, and that made me feel a little bit better. But there are days that I still question if I'm the crazy one, if I'm the crazy one here. Yeah, so I guess that's it.
Well, if I can tell, either there's a quote that said, the people that think that they're crazy enough to change the one are the ones that do. I don't think I got that quote right, but it's about, embracing your crazy, right? And if you think that you're going to change the world, right, it's the crazy people. And, there's the ones that make the change. So roll with it. Believe in yourself. I mean, these are just things that every single woman faces as we grow in the process. So it's so beautiful, and it's kind of, chicken and an egg, right? We can't have, success without experiencing failure. So anyways, thank you for that. Rhonda.
Well, I don't think you're going to eliminate completely the imposter syndrome. I wish I could say you will, but I'm pretty realistic. Like even for myself, this year was a very scary year. It was a great year, but then it became very scary because what's going on around the world is I can't even get my products. My plant was closed overseas. I didn't even know if I'm going to survive this year. But I believe things are going to come together very soon. So there's always things in the world that's going to cause you doubt, right? And you can't control everything in your entire life. So I think if you're comfortable within your skin and yourself, I think that's really where it comes down to. You have to have the confidence in your own self to get over the hurdles that life's going to bring you. And then, you just got to hope for the best. That's what I do every day. I hope I'm going to still be in a store. I hope I'm still going to have my customers. I hope. And then you say, I'm going to, I hope, and I'm going to. And it's just the words that you use, because nobody really knows what's going on behind the closed doors, and really nobody needs to know, but you need to be confident enough that you're going to pull it off. And that's the only advice I could give, is just be as confident as you can.
One foot ahead of the other.
Yeah.
And I think when the world stopped, women did keep going. That was one thing. Women are still driving that change. And so we talked about this at the very beginning. And I said the very last question that I'd love to, put to all of you today is, how are each of you going to be driving that change? Because this is the power that we have as women, is to collectively use our voices and to drive change in our own industries and empower our youth and empower each other to, really succeed. So Nadiya, how are you going to drive change?
I think it's all about the message that I have, that because you matter, knowing that how important you are and how important your mental health is. So my mission is to create, in any aspect, whether it's professional or personal, helping people overcome their limiting beliefs. As a coach, transformative coach, clinical hypnotherapist, it just naturally becomes my passion to help people overcome their limiting beliefs and helping the energy to reach to their true potential. And I'm really madly in love with that concept. So I keep trying, and at Profound Wellness, I do it. Online, I do it. It's just that I want people to believe in themselves. And time has come to change. Don't wait for people to tell you you're good. Don't wait for people to tell you you can succeed. So get over your limiting belief, and we need to change our mindset, because we can't unlearn what we were told to learn.
Beautiful. Coaches. I mean, mentors and coaches. Valuable. Queen.
Oh, that's a big one. I think for me, just resilience is what's going to keep me guided through all this. And I think that's what, is so powerful about women, is that we're resilient to whatever comes our way in whatever shape or form. You see a mom flip a car, you see a mom carry her baby in the middle of 6 jobs, you watch women do all sorts of impeccable things that even I still look at in awe, and it's so magical. And I think for me to drive change, I just have to keep doing the good work to end, racism and anti-oppression. And I don't know if it will happen in my lifetime, but if it means that one girl that looks like me doesn't have to experience the hate that I had when I was in school, or if it means that at one point there's great cleaning water for all communities in Canada, that would be great. If, these things can ignite change, for the better, for our youth's future, for your kids' future, for all of our community, then that's what I'm going to do. I think just keep challenging people and believe in yourself through that. And if they don't believe in you, call me, because I will. So, and you'll have probably a huge group of women in this network that will too, because I know that's what's kept me inspired. As you said, Rhonda, this is not necessarily an easy year for so many of us, and also really a blessed year, but we need each other. We have to act with love. So while you're driving change, make sure all of that comes genuinely with love for each other, because we just can't forget that, because it's not happening right now in our world. And I think we need more love.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Queen. Rhonda.
Well, how I'm going to drive change is I'm a big supporter in supporting local Canadian businesses, women owned, to be quite honest. I mean, I've started it, I do it. I also mentor women, like entrepreneurs. So to me, this is just the start of what I want to do. I have a much bigger picture coming forward on how I'm going to initiate change with hopefully the Girl Guides of Canada. So anyways, stay tuned. But yeah, I just really, really want to support Canadian women-owned businesses, at least to start. And if I can help them out, hopefully they help me out, and it's a win-win situation. So.
And I have to add there that, you know, your Au Naturals bag, and you said in the very beginning that you had the logo on it. It was the certification logo. We had just launched the Universal Woman Owned certification, and we put that logo right on the front of the bag. So we are enabling others to say that bag, that product is women owned. And we just have to educate people on how to support. And it's not like it's under $5, right? But it makes a big difference. And if everybody contributes to that conversation, that's how we really drive change. So ladies, I would just like to say thank you so much for sharing your experience and your wisdom with us. And for those that are watching or listening, the Women of Inspiration, Women Driving Change book, of course, you each have an amazing story. We've not even tipped the tip of the iceberg, but the stories are all in the book here, along with you know, the 100 Women of Inspiration leaders. So I'm really excited to be on this journey with all of you, and let's go drive that change that needs to happen so we can break the brick ceiling. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you all so much. It was such a pleasure. I'll be messaging you to keep in touch.
Sure.
Thank
Looking
you for
forward to hearing from all of you, and wish you
Yes.
good luck, Rhonda, with your nomination.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
And wish you good luck to you, Queen, for succeeding with your mission.
Oh, thank you. And you as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Here, we'll play.
What?
are you coming through to Toronto? What's your next journey? Are you still journeying through?
Oh, we are going to try, and we've postponed, of course, until 2022. So we are going to continue to drive change. And this is just the tip of the iceberg for, you know, it's our dress rehearsal. And so, you know, as the world changes, we pivot and we go. We don't pause, we don't stop, we just keep moving. And I think that's really what we all need to do, is embrace, keep putting one foot in front of the other, which is what we're going to do.